welcome back to the LCS. We've got some playoff action on our hands, my friends, and it's all on the line for Dignitas QNTMPAY and Immortals today because it is elimination territory at this point.
Yep, loving the voices of Demonte and Hai, of course, earlier on in this or that, just hearing about the matchup and what they felt was the most influential positions.
He didn't even say anything, dude. He told me nothing. He said there's a jungle diff for Dignitas over IMT. And I was like, okay, so what do you got for IMT? And all he said is better team. Like, that doesn't mean shit.
6'4",
I mean,
bench press 280, like,
yeah, what is that?
That's a lot of information.
And that's pro talking, by the way. Where's my stats, man? Where's my information?
Those are stats.
All right, we all know we can expect Acadian to be lifting a lot in the gym, but there are some unexpected factors when it comes to the bracket and what we have seen thus far, Hai.
Right, we see that C9's in the bottom lower of the bracket, which is surprising to some teams, don't get me wrong, but I would also have been surprised that Team Liquid had been there. So at the end of the day, there's two strong teams, one had to go down there, but I want to focus towards IMT Dignitas. I'm not that confident in thinking about which team's gonna win. I think they're pretty close.
Yes.
Clearly, you see a 6th seed versus 7th seed. I put it in favor of one team over the other. I said it earlier, so I'll just say it again, 3-2 over Dignitas, but I could be sold to move to the other team.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, you said 3-2, so IMT over Dignitas?
No,
or?
Said
Dignitas over IMT.
Yeah.
3-2, got it.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
Interesting.
So you could sell me out to IMT is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about the level of experience in Worlds qualifying playoff play between these two teams, because it's pretty lopsided if you look at it from this perspective. Immortals, you know, you have Raze and Destiny, who are both champions from OPL, and although it's a different league, having those kinds of stakes really seasons you when you're in this high-pressure situation where you might get eliminated because you got this one life remaining. Whereas on the Dignitas side, there's a lot of veterancy from Afrimu in this kind of situation, but less so from the other members of the team. Yep,
and what I will say is, at least when it comes to the quality of play, and at least being in a best-of-5 situation, you reel in Academy matchups, or at least like the actual playoffs, you see it there, it's much closer than it actually is, just simply because of the likes of Fake God when he was on 100 Thieves Academy and ripping it up, right, on his Aatrox play. Like, these players have been there in the past. You know, Insanity's been there, Neo's been there once upon a time. The only one who hasn't had that experience is Revenge. So, like, being in a best-of-5 is a new experience, and it's nice to see these new faces who are going into that challenge.
You know, even including the Academy experience numbers, I think the difference is roughly the same. I believe it's roughly 50 games from the previous graphic that we had.
Yeah.
And here, there's about 40 game difference. I don't actually think the difference in experience changes that much, even if you added Academy.
Yes.
So I thought it was cool that Revenge tweeted today saying he's playing his first best-of-5 live. And being a player, that's why people want to be a player, right? Like, doing best-of-1s are fun, but it's not the same experience as best-of-5. If you lose game 1, you get to, like, bounce back game 2, be like, hey, you might have won first game, but I'm coming back game 2, you know? And then you get to kick his ass, and rotate back and forth. It's really fun to do a best-of-5.
Yeah, and the psychology is completely different. It's like, it happened this regular season, and also in my experience in coaching, it's like, best-of-1s, blue side all the way. Like, the stability of knowing what your draft is like gonna be in your first 3 picks.
Blue side OP.
Blue side OP. And then suddenly you're in playoff situations. We need red side. We need counter pick. Like, we know the enemy team well enough of what they're going to be picking. So it's like that flexibility is super important, and the adaptation within, like, what is a very limited, like, 10 minutes time in between games. That's what I love about the best-of-5s.
Well, there's a lot of hesitancy in predicting this matchup, though we did get some answers from Hai. Raz, I'm going to kick it to you. Who do you think is going to take this series between Dignitas and Immortals?
I think Immortals are a stronger team. I agree with Demonte's at the very end, who he ended up siding with. I think it's going to be 3-1.
Stronger
IMT.
team. Cop out.
There it is, the better team.
How is that
Better
a cop-out
team.
answer to say it's a better team? It's a team
You gotta
game!
explain. How are they better? Give me
So
some
are
more.
IMT the better team in your opinion?
I do think IMT is a better team. I think they're generally a team that has better prep. When I consider the kinds of comps that they were running when they were really dominant, a lot of dual solo lane melee champions with Xerxes on junglers who can generally have the ability to carry. And last time I saw these teams meet, you know, I think Dignitas is a team that's really focused on their jungle play from Acadian, but I think Xerxes handled it really well with really effective counter ganks. We see that Acadian's going to focus bot lane, so Xerxes knows how to anticipate that. So I think as a team unit, IMT is better, and I expect their prep to be better.
What's the number?
Especially given that they haven't shown any games yet, whereas Dignitas has.
What's the number?
3-2.
Okay.
On this team of a desk, though, Hai, I think you're a little odd man out over there.
So Kaizen just spent 2.5 minutes explaining why IMT is the better team, but only gave him a 3-2 score. He's not that confident in that either. I'm still sticking with my 3-2 Dignitas. I think I'm right here. Whether I am or not, we'll see, but I am going against the desk.
So I should have given a 30-second explanation.
Yes.
Show that confidence. Okay, I got it.
There we go.
I'll note that for the future.
Well, this journey is ready to officially begin. It always starts with champ select, so let's hop into it, see what these teams are going to be bringing to the table, because I know the coaches, for instance, have really been growing identities for themselves and really putting their best foot forward in terms of the comps they're bringing to the table.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Immortals, like, they had Gyoto as the Gyoto Academy in there. Dardoch moving from Dignitas, of course, to coaching and now going up against his former team. So the intel is there. Yeah. He's bringing it to them.
What do you think he's gonna like? Do you think he has any special prep for him? It's like, yo, guys, I used to be on this team. I know Fake God can't dodge ganks. I know their bot lane can't play without ganks. So this is how we're gonna attack him. You think he's saying stuff like that?
Something about communication for sure.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting observation because he does know what these players are like, what their tendencies are.
Like Fake God dies to every level 3 gank. You have to level 3 gank this guy.
Yeah,
something like that.
I think we can see that.
Okay, well, I don't know if that's true. It's not that on my board, you know?
And these teams are generally like really interesting in terms of drafting. We saw the Diana Yasuo for Dignitas, that look. We saw from Immortals multiple looks. Some, you know, they're probably one of the most flexible teams. So the bans here from Draven Thresh from Dignitas, they do not want to see that from Raze and Destiny. And then the Kalista is just the stock standard. We don't want to see Neo on Kalista. Very good first bans here.
Yeah, and what I would love to see from IMT is just consider a Lucian pickup here. This is one of the most played pickups for Insanity. It gives them a lot of pressure over mid lane.
Wow.
It gives them, ooh, okay.
The prophet himself.
Yeah, I don't mind the Zac either. And when you have a Lucian in the mid lane, it covers for Zac's weaker early game because it makes sure that you're not in a situation where you're constantly pushing under tower and then Xin can just invade you.
I think this is going to be the constant because what we saw in a previous draft was a Trundle versus Xin Zhao for obvious reasons, right, in the TL matchup. And in this one here, you need to have priority in your lanes if you're going to be going up against a Xin Zhao with a Zac. So I'm fully expecting that to not just be, like, the Lucian is for sure a flex towards top, mid. Raze has played it in the past, but that's his weakest position. It should not go bot lane. So I'm interested in see what Immortals does with the rest of their draft.
Yeah, the jungle matchup has been foretold here, and I know on the Dignitas side, they've been bringing a lot of versatility to that mid lane.
Wait, are they locking in Teemo?
Nope.
No,
It's been 0 seconds for like 5 seconds, right? I'm not gonna...
you always ignore it.
I'm trying to think of what I want to say, but I'm
it.
just staring at this Teemo really quick to see what's going on. I don't know if it bugged out or what.
We do have a client crash on stage, so it is potentially a result of that.
I'm gonna have to spoil Twitch chat. That's 99.9% chance not a Teemo. As much as I'd love to see the Teemo, there's no way they pick it here.
I've loved myself mistake Teemo picks that's happened in the LCK. I think it was either a year ago or 2 years ago, or it was just a trend where people were mistakenly picking it. Either way, we're getting out of draft. We're going to be going right back into it. The only thing that seems legitimate is the Rise pick.
Sorry.
So
I totally ignored your question, by the way. I was staring at the team.
He was so shook.
I was ready for that team, so you're going to have to ask me the question one more time.
Well, we are restarting Champion Select, so we'll be hanging here a little bit while that happens. And I know the first thing I thought about the Teemo wasn't it in Spring High that you were giving an argument for some Teemo play that you saw a long time ago and how it can be viable? Is my brain
Yeah.
right?
I think we're talking about like things you could pick into Gwen top because she was a very dominant champion at the time. And I was saying top lane champions could do well into Gwen, but obviously after watching it go out, it wasn't that good. Like people picked Gnar into Gwen, right? But then got slapped.
Yep.
Now Gwen isn't a Teemo, or Gnar isn't Teemo by any means. Like would Teemo have worked versus Gwen? Maybe, because like you know how you start E on Gwen, you just try to snip him? Teemo blinds her so she can't snip. So I was making the argument that Teemo could have been strong into Gwen. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I think it'd be a good matchup. Go Ignite TP, no flash on Teemo, you might get ganked, but you win lane hard. So just 2v2 topside.
This sounds terrible.
We can give all the justification we want here on the desk. I don't think it's ever going to happen.
I just want to say he gave a 2.5 explanation. I don't think he's that confident.
I'm pretty confident about that. Let's 1v1 right now. Let's go to the best friend station. You can pick Gwen, I'll pick Teemo. We'll see who wins.
Okay.
One thing I am confident in, though, is all the picks and bans that we saw up until that point will stay the same, despite the fact that it's being picked up here. So we already know what the jungle matchup is going to be. We knew that was going to be a point of contention for both of these players. So what do you think of the fact that they have been prioritized here in the draft, and we're going to get see them on these picks?
Well, I think it's a really good pickup for Dignitas, especially given the importance of Acadian in this team. I think the issue with having Zach here is it takes a while for him to respond to with a counter gank unless he's scouted before because he has his channel time on his engage. So I think there's an opportunity for Acadian to sort of just set the tempo of the game really early here. And I think it's going to be really important that there's relatively self-sufficient lanes from the rest of Immortals.
There's one thing that can be said about teams letting the Xin Zhao open so they can counterpick into it. Like the Trundle was theoretically like it made a lot of sense, and I still enjoy that draft. In a higher level play, for sure, you can pull that off. This one, if Zach can be supported by his lane so he can actually farm his own camps, then you have to be afraid of his ganks. Like that's literally what it is. If he's maxing E, he's gonna be like hopping over, if his tri-bush is control worded, he's gonna be hopping over that wall through lane ganks that you can't really like once again, prepare yourself for. So like that's always something that you have to be more aware of. It seems like we're back into the draft because that seems like it's a Leona instead.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Right. So I actually dislike one thing from both drafts.
Yeah.
I don't like the Zac pick only because it's so early. Xin Zhao can already stop his knockup, and then you can draft other characters to stop the knockup as well. If you're playing Zac and you can't land your E, that champion becomes a third of what he's supposed to do. If it doesn't land, he's like almost useless because he maxed it. And since they picked it there, I wanted Dignitas to pick Syndra instead of Ryze. I understand Ryze is a good matchup into Lucian, but Syndra is good into Lucian as well and counters the Zac engage. He tries to jump on you. You don't even have to do QE. You can just do E and that stops his engage. So I would have loved to see Xin Zhao Syndra 1-2 from Dignitas there, or Syndra instead of Ryze.
Okay.
Sorry.
That makes a lot of sense. One thing I will say from IMT side of the draft is that they've cut the Lucian now to just being a top lane or an 80 carry flex. So it's still there, once again, like Immortals, or at least Raze and Destiny in the past, if I am misremembering this, has played Lucian Braum in the past. So it is a flex. Revenge likes playing carries top, so I can imagine this being a top lane
My
pick.
money's on Lucian top is what I'm
Yeah, I'm fully expecting it to be a Lucian top, and Immortals are just going to be playing a very tightrope gameplay where Syndra has the matchup versus Ryze, has the range advantage. Lucian should do well theoretically in the matchup that he's pitted against. They need priority for the Zac.
He has counter pick too, right? Because they can pick the support here, IMT can, and then keep that Lucian as a flex. I actually don't think Syndra beats Ryze, honestly. If Ryze has the fancy feet and can dodge Syndra's abilities, he wins lane due to the fact that he can shove lane a lot easier than Syndra. And the only problem is he can't shove lane if he gets hit by the skills. But if you dodge the skills from Syndra, you get wave power, and then it's really hard for her.
Yeah, the gank setup is going to be the most treacherous thing about it, especially with the Zacs there. So like wards do need to be placed near Raptor Wall, things like this. So at least you have an understanding of where Zac's going to be. One thing to make note of is Braum is an excellent pick versus Leona. We've seen that be a support pick that's come up more frequently in the playoffs. So if they wanted to go Braum here, it works. They just don't have easy ways to pick a player off that's not including Syndra.
Yeah.
There it is. This is the Rakan instead.
Yeah, I think Rakan is better. I mean, when we think about the role that Destiny plays in the team, we think about him on hook champions or we think of him on engaged champions. So I think it's really important that come mid-game, they have opportunities to start fights more easily than I think Zac provides, because Zac is a little bit more reliant on being out of vision to be able to get engaged. So I like this personally for IMT. And I know, there are thoughts on the Leona-Rakan matchup, but at this point, we've seen enough LCS teams just opt into that and just say we value the engage that Rakan has over the fact that Leona can stun him out of some of the engages in bot lane.
Yeah, and seeing more of that Rakan more often from Destiny since, as you said, those hook champions were getting banned away and he was forced onto these other picks. But it's the set that has now been locked in on the side of Dignitas.
So I expected to go top lane, and I expect the Lucian to be slammed in versus it. The only thing to be worried about is Set has incredible gank setup as well. Xin Zhao should just go top lane. We'll just have to see if this is the lock-in though, because technically you can still go something like GP versus Set and then put the Lucian bot lane, but I would really hate that matchup bot side. So we're seeing the Xayah Rakan. I think this should just be locked in, and I prefer the Lucian top side. I will give a caveat, a warning for IMT. They've done Jace top lane whenever they generally put a carry in the top side of the map.
Yeah, got bamboozled.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm guessing, I mean, when we look at Revenge, one of his best champions is Viego. It's one of his most played. He has had a lot of success on it. And I think when we think about what he's looking to do in the game, I don't think it's necessarily about getting a huge advantage top. I think he's looking more for champions who are going to be useful post lane, and if they're comfortable in playing around, and can play 1-3-1 style around effectively. So I personally like the pivot here.
I've completely forgotten about the Syndra bot side.
All right, y'all, I got a question. I think Dignitas won draft, and I saw Twitch chat agreed with me, which makes me sad because I don't want to agree with Twitch chat. But they did. What do you guys think? Who's winning?
I think it's a really hard draft to play for Dignitas, for IMT rather. I do think that Dignitas draft is a lot easier, and I think it plays to their strengths, right? When you get the opportunity to...
Wait, that's Syndra bot, by the way, so we're clear.
Yeah, exactly.
All of that being said, though, we are going to get our questions answered. This is a tight matchup, everybody, between Dignitas QNTMPAY and Immortals to keep their hopes alive here in the playoffs. Let's find out who walks away with the W today.
Oh, baby, I love myself a ballyhoo. That's what those light shows are called. I learned that last week. Didn't know that beforehand, didn't know what producers were telling me, but now I do. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the playoffs. We're here in our second week of action in 2021. I'm Captain Flowers. I'm joined by Azael, and we already got the teams looking for blood here at level 1. About to check into the brush here. All right, they're going to find Destiny, who jumps over the wall. Revenge won't be able to do the same, has to spend his flash. Yasui waiting in the wings, ready to go in here, perhaps. Throws out that room prison that's just a slow for now. Not going to get a whole lot else out of that one, so Immortals will walk away, but it costs Revenge his flash.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice little invade by Dignitas. Because Syndra was on the bot side, Immortals couldn't really fully contest. It would have been a 4v5 there. Dignitas knows they have a strong level 1. They go in. Zac at level 1, not very threatening compared to the Xin Zhao, so it's going to be an interesting game. You know, one of the things I really did agree with Kaizen talking on the desk, and this is why I actually like that they move Lucian towards mid, is that Zac with weak lanes is so vulnerable to invades.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
If you're going to play Zac, you've got to have dominating lanes because this guy is going to get invaded, is going to get punished by champions like Xin Zhao, like Acadian, who is an aggressive player. So this does help protect him. You know, they have the Syndra to shove in bot, they have the Lucian to push in mid, and that should keep him safe and keep him farming.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you enjoy seeing the pivot to play around the weaknesses and strengths of the champion like that. And speaking of those decisions being made for the side of Immortals, Dash is standing by here, got a sideline report. He caught up with Gilhoto. Let's see what he has to say.
Thank you very much, Captain Flowers. That's right. We're getting a look at the game as it plays out in real time, but I got 2 questions for you right off the top here, Gilhoto. It's been almost 2 weeks now since we've seen Immortals on the Rift, so I'm curious, with that kind of extra week of time, what you and the team have been focusing on most specifically to get ready for these best of 5s.
So basically we already knew the opponent. Whenever we saw that the matchup would be between Dignitas and AG, we focused the whole 2 weeks in Dignitas. That's what we were expecting. So we were just focusing on ways that we have to play in order to nullify their potential to snowball through bot lane, as well as trying to get Acadian to or force him to do some stuff that he's not really used to.
Okay, so within that, let's take a look at this game and the way it's playing out so far. We already had that invade and a blown summoner in the top lane. I'm curious for yourself as a coach, what were kind of the words you left the team with these 5 champions at play in terms of win conditions and how they should pilot this game to a victory?
So they have a comp that really wants to go in, and I think that we have good champions to avoid them to go in. So it's just a matter of avoiding any early pressure that Xin Zhao can do. We know that Acadian usually likes when he plays his champion to just perma-fight instead of playing to farm. So we just have to play with that in mind. And once we are able to get our first items, then we should be able to win the game.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for the insight. I want to let you get back to the player room and appreciate it. Best of luck in the series. Back to you at the caster desk, gents.
And we've already kind of gotten that example of Lucian protecting Zac from the invade. You know, that was an early invade here on the red buff, and they're also trying to force Zac off of the Krugs to defend this potential invade, or rather potential dive here onto Revenge, who has no flash.
Okay, Revenge in some trouble with the root coming down, the CC going out, and the haymaker right upside the jaw for the first blood. Fake God still got his flash, and it gets him away. Dignitas first on the board.
Giolotto kind of had Acadian pegged. He said he's not going to play this into farm. He's going to play this into fight. It's the attempted invade there with Smite used. They go immediately up towards the top side. Look for that dive. They are able to get it.
And don't forget, the Pro View features that jungle matchup, Acadian versus Xerxes. You're looking at the farming power of the Zac versus that high active carnivorous playstyle of Xin Zhao early. Plenty to be learning from that one, so check it out. You can see Revenge has walked over here into the mid lane. Now let's take another look at what happened in the jungle beforehand that led to the play top.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing here to me is actually that Ryze is getting control over mid lane. Because you have mid lane prio as the Lucian, but because the Lucian had to come around to actually prevent the red buff from being stolen, now you've lost prio. So Lucian's locked at his tower. Ryze uses this opportunity to run straight towards top. They have the wraparound setting up here, so Yasui is behind. Fake God pulls aggro. Acadian goes in. Fake God backing up, using that passive on the W to get the Haymaker through, to absorb that tower shot, making sure he's on the edge of tower aggro to then be able to back out. Like, that was beautifully orchestrated. Yeah. Even though Insanity responded well and protected the red invade, they got something from that. They got mid lane control, which led to that dive on top side. And that is really smart stuff from Dignitas that is thinking a couple steps ahead, realizing, okay, I go here, where's Lucian going to go? He's going to defend. All right, what happens next? We get control of mid. Where can we take that? We can take it top.
And based on what we heard in the interview with Giolotto talking about Immortals, recognizing how Acadian likes to play and what Dignitas wants to do and how they want to shut that down, that just shows me this isn't just Dignitas outthinking Immortals. Immortals is aware of what's going on, but Dignitas is outplaying. They are just making the moves better right now. They are setting themselves up for success, which is what you want to see. I mean, hey, we're in the lower bracket, right? If you lose this best of 5, you're done. Dignitas already lost last week to Evil Geniuses. Immortals coming in at 7th place. They're the ones who automatically start in the lower bracket, so you don't have time to make any more adjustments now. Giolotto talked about, yeah, we spent the whole 2 weeks studying Dignitas. Well, it's time for the final exam.
Exactly, and that's why I think it's so fun to get those sideline reports, and Giolotto's a great interview. He actually is very honest about some of their prep and what they're focusing on, the fact that they only prep for Dignitas, the fact that they are trying to prevent the ability of Dignitas to snowball through bot. We saw that in the picks and bans. We saw Samira, we saw Kalista, we saw Ezreal all banned away from Neo. They're putting this really heavy wave clear champ of the Syndra down there, trying to actually just shove and back up. You can notice even right now, you know, in the bot lane, when you're looking at the minimap, they're not really contesting the Tristana as much as they're just contesting the wave, right? They kill the wave, they back off, they're trying to avoid where they're expecting Acadian to be because they haven't gotten intel on him until just now, when he walked over that pink ward on the topside river. So now they're going to be able to move up and shove. And this is all part of that game plan that he's talking about, really playing around the strengths of your opponents, trying to play towards your own win conditions.
And there are some powerful champions if Immortals can keep this game going towards the mid and late game without Dignitas being able to snowball some things with the power of a Tristana or a Xin Zhao. I mean, you've got Viego, you've got Zac, who is an incredible team fighter and engage mechanism from miles away. You and I were even talking before this game started back in Champions Select about how Zac makes games very interesting when he doesn't define the meta, but occasionally gets splashed into it, just because it brings back all those different angles, all those different pathways and opportunities for ganking that are pretty exclusive to him.
Exactly. I mean, you know, maybe Rek'Sai tunneling over a wall, but you have all these extra angles that you can't ward out everything. And I always feel like when you're playing Zac, the game starts at level 5 because you need a couple levels into the Elastic Slingshot to really get a decent engage range. Like, level 3 Zac gank is just like, it's kind of like he just like hops and like rolls down, you know, he's not really going anywhere. Level 5 is where you start to get some threat, and that's why you have to get the levels. You have to protect him on the farm, try to get as much of that scaling activated as possible. You know, he is going to be a threat towards the back line. You know, there is the ability to interrupt the slingshot with things like Fake God's ultimate, with Acadian's ultimate, so we'll see how on point they are with that, because that's always something to be frightened about as well. But Dignitas has great scaling too. You've got Tristana Ryze, so you're not necessarily like under the gun here to really punish the Zac, because you have range, you have side laning ability with the Ryze, you have the ability to team fight here as well. So I think both teams are going to be really looking towards execution.
And I like the fact that you bring up the set ult in particular, just because of the way it scales with the target's HP. It's one of those things that's easy to forget about. It's like, okay, usually he's just going to grab whoever's close to him, throw him into the back line, and then start punching, right? But in a game where tanks, pure tanks, I'm saying, haven't really been popular for a while, we're seeing a lot of those bruiser builds, Core Drinker, Styrax, whatever. it feels real nice to have this big, juicy meatball to just slam into the back line and do 1,000 damage to everybody.
I mean, it's pretty easy to forget until you get that one game where there's a Cho'Gath on your team and he gets dunked to the back line and everyone's one shot. And you're like, oh, it works like that.
It's like, okay. Oh yeah, Cho'Gath had 6,000 health. That just used him as a bomb.
Just delivering the Ziggs all himself. You gotta respect
exactly.
it,
you become the Ziggs cosplayer.
He doesn't throw it back there. He is the bomb.
All right, down here at bottom lane, we got Afromu level 6, Neo level 6. It's Raze level 7, but Destiny only level 5, and that is a very important ultimate to not be available. We've talked about Zac being this big engage mechanism. Well, hey, I love seeing Zac drafted with something like Rakan that can group everybody up, have a more snappy initiation, and then boom, Zac can follow it up with an elastic slingshot into a let's bounce. The chain CC combo for this team is through the roof in a 5v5 if they get their angle.
Absolutely. And I mean, you can even fish to start that off with something like a Scatter the Weak, so they have a lot of ability to actually start out fights here in multiple ways. When you're looking at the Dignitas side, it's much more about a flank from Fake God or just a hard engage from Afromu. It's kind of less engage options there, but they obviously can be pretty powerful here. This is something you're going to see pretty much every good Zac player, Fiddle player will do. You're grouping it up, even if the Raptors reset, just applying the jungle item debuff to them is actually going to increase your health, increase the speed of your clear.
So much.
Exactly.
Skarner does it too.
Yeah, keeps you at full, so there you go. You know all about it.
Oh yeah, I am familiar as Yasui gets ganked here in the mid lane, and there they go. Destiny with a grand entrance, but without the quickness, Yasui can use the flash and get away.
Nicely done. We're going to see what has become a very standard Lucian build here. Very likely going to be Eclipse. We do see a lot of Eclipse, Herald's Grudge. It's kind of just like these builds that are essentially just about the culling, right? Yeah. And it's kind of all about having this super powerful ultimate, which makes the use of it so incredibly important. If you do have a poor usage of that culling, you become really so much less of a threat. And we see players, as a result, not using it for wave clear as often, not using it in these kind of poke situations. It's more for that potential all-in. Will be pushed back here, but not before getting 2 plates. And getting 2 plates early here, both solo gold on that Tristana, is going to feel really, really nice.
Yeah, and Dignitas is all too familiar with the culling after their series versus Evil Geniuses last week. It was the Jizuke mid lane Lucian just absolutely rattling bullets into people non-stop. So hopefully they'll have better tools to deal with it here this time. First Drake of the game does go over to Immortals here. 11 minutes into the game, they will get that Ocean Drake.
And you can see how much of a focus there has been around topside. I mean, we saw that is traded for the Herald. Just look at this section of the map right here. It's all those pink wards set up. They do have one covering them on the bot side, but this is very clearly because they want to play around that corridor. They have Acadian with the Herald. He's got about a quarter of the time left, so going to be interested to see where he does, in fact, drop it. And my guess is it's for the Tristana.
And one thing I also want to point out about Acadian's inventory here that is interesting, if you look at his items, it looks like we're going to see the Divine Sunderer build here on the Xin Zhao. Lots of times in pro play, you will see the Gore Drinker for the extra active and the burst of healing, but Divine Sunderer is going to give him more of that sustained damage against these healthier targets like the Zac. Now, lots of players hanging around the mid lane here. Support and jungler for both teams. Destiny and Afromu both have level 6 ultimates locked and loaded for both sides here. As we're going to see Scryer's Bloom come out from Immortals, they will see that Dignitas is heading in towards this top lane area. Wind becomes lightning, stabs revenge a little bit, but not a whole lot of concern about that one. No PvP.
It's going to expire really soon. So yeah, I think he's basically just going to have to drop it walking out from base. I mean, if he lets that expire, he's really trolling.
All right, Acadian, come on, you got to use this one, buddy.
Press the button.
Come on, Acadian,
Press
summon
the
it.
button.
Don't let that purple disappear from your hands, brother. Just summon it. Okay, there we go.
Still, I would rather just see you actually do it up on that top side. If they're going to use this to try to get pressure cross map, then I kind of have more respect for that play. But right now, it looks like they just didn't get the play they wanted set up, so it is just going to be dropped down bot lane. But Immortals not really moving to contest at this point. They're not going to send multiple members down, so if it gets the charge off, that tower is low enough because Neo had already taken 2 plates off of it that it looks like it's just going to be a free tower. Immortals not punishing whatsoever here. They are investing a tremendous amount into vision on the top side. This is a ridiculous cluster of wards. This is like, what, 10 wards?
It's so many wards, man. All right, so Shelly does get off a really good charge that will lead to first turret, despite the fact that she was summoned up in Timbuktu.
Yeah.
Right?
She got her cardio in for sure.
That is about
it.
the best summoning of a Shelly all the way back, barely off the steps of your base that you could ask for. So nicely done from Dignitas, setting it up in a way that Acadian was able to drop it back there, and the wave was in a good spot to still get value. So good stuff, good coordination there that will put Dignitas right about 1,000 gold ahead. You can see your FTX gold advantage there about plus 930. So Immortals are falling a little bit behind here, 14 minutes in with the place about to fall.
Yep. Not going to be sweating it too much just yet. It's slowly scaling up. Zach has hit 9, so Slingshot fully max, you would assume, at this point. And that is where you really do have the long range engage available. The range is actually really, really big. At level 5, it is 1,800. So, you know, that is like a screen away practically at that point. And it's
almost triple Caitlyn auto attack range.
Yeah. I mean, it becomes really threatening, right? You have to have deep wards. You have to have all the angles covered if you're going to push into an area because of the ability for Zach to start it off from off screen, for the follow-up to be there from Destiny or Raze, you know, layering over that. If you catch people with that, the culling comes over top. It's very, very dangerous. So you're going to have to be respecting that engage, but at the same time, they don't want to be bleeding out as far as the gold is concerned. So we'll see where they're going to go next. And I think might just be looking towards the dragon here. It's going to be a pretty powerful dragon either way. With Cloud coming up next, it will be Infernal or Mountain. I think both are very valuable here for Immortals. So I would like to see them try to set up in that area over this next minute and look to continue stacking those dragons.
Honestly, we've had a pretty slow game here, aside from that first dive up there in the top lane. Neither side has really been playing super aggressively. Neither side seems to be really willing to take a lot of big risks.
Yep.
So it seems like both these teams are choosing to err on the side of caution here in this first game of this elimination series. Let's see if we end up getting any action here for the second Rift Herald of the game. Dignitas already securing that one. Acadian picks up the eye. Destiny's got his buddy right over the wall to jump back to safety. So again, no fight, but another Rift Herald goes over to Dignitas.
Yep, and that really is their gold advantage, right? Like, that's all they've gotten for themselves is pretty much the Herald crashing on the bot side, getting them that first tower. See where they want to go with the next one. I always like second Herald when you use that for it to be around a dragon spawn. You know, you drop this mid, get prio there, and make them choose between tower damage mid lane or contesting. Exactly. Or contesting at that dragon. So we'll see if they're going to set up for this. It is 15 seconds until spawn. So they got to get out here now and get ready to fight. Xerxes has completed his first item. You can see Luden's completed as well for Raze. So the items coming through here for Immortals. And everyone's looking pretty comparable, really, besides Revenge. But he does have TP up. And we'll see if he wants to try to base and spend what I assume is a pretty significant amount of gold. Yeah, he has about 1,200 in pocket.
Yeah, that should be able to get him to a pretty nice spot here. Is worth pointing out, too, that we have 3 out of 4 teleports up on the map right now. Dignitas are the ones at a teleport disadvantage. Yasui is not able to join a fight unless he's there the normal way, the organic way, the old school way. And it looks like that means Dignitas as a whole is going to reject fighting for the second Drake. That will be Immortals grabbing both of the first 2 as that second Herald gets the charge off, gets the turret destruction here in the top lane, and Neo and Acadian should be able to escort it in and make sure they get the second charge here onto the tier 2.
Yeah, not much of an opportunity for Revenge to kind of stop this by himself. The charge will go up, and they're on mid.
Oh, a nice play coming out there, and I believe that is say goodnight to Yasui. Raze picking up the kill credit, getting Immortals on the board for the first time, 17 minutes in.
Nicely chained on the CC there. Yasui never got a chance to play his character. Xerxes going in, Destiny with a follow-up, Raze with a follow-up. There's so much CC to actually
And that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
The CC power, the chain. If you get caught out, especially on a champion like Ryze, lights out.
Yep, and we can see it one more time here. See exactly how it did start off as Xerxes off-screen to the right, and you know, you can really utilize this long-range engage, and it is over the wall. You hit the Q, snap them together, no hesitation. Raze and Destiny both immediate flash over the wall to follow up. And I like the commitment to that play. Yes, it is fairly costly. A couple of ultimates, a couple of flashes, but getting that kill here is going to give them prio, is going to get some of the gold back. And Immortals, I think they're in a pretty comfortable position right now. If you told them that you're playing Xin into Zach and you're kind of just even on gold, essentially, this late into the game, you're going to be pretty happy about it. And Infernal Soul's pretty valuable.
Yeah. Same KP, 0-0-1 for both junglers, so it's not like Acadian's been able to run away with the early game here on this champion that should have priority in the 1v1s against Zach. Now here on the bottom side, remember the tier 1 turret is destroyed on the side of Immortals, so if they find themselves in a bad fight, they will not have that to fall back to. 18.5 minutes in here, 3 minutes before our next Drake spawns, and we're getting to the point of the game where now we have to start asking the question, the gold lead for Dignitas, is this good enough to start just running the show in the bottom side river and stopping the Immortals Drake stack, right? Because an Infernal Soul is a lot of gold's worth of value, so you know Dig's gonna start needing to contest those here. Afromu barely getting out of the way of the Scatter the Weak, and he throws himself down a Solar Flare. Destiny is locked down, beat up, goodbye. Xerxes gets knocked back there, but he's able to find a nice stretching strikes onto 2. Insanity taking a lot of damage, but Acadian's about to die here first. Revenge getting the kill onto Neo, and now looking to reset and go even harder. Yasui will be your target. They're looking for a little bit more, and Ray's got him. Fate got against the world, and oh, baby, the world is a big one. Insanity's putting in the bullets, Immortals are putting out the damage, and Dignitas are all going home. Ace for IMT.
Oh, they get the ace. A bloody fight breaking out off of Dignitas there on the invade. Immortals saw an opportunity to go on Afro, and Dignitas saw the fight that they like. They decided to take it, but full commitment there from Immortals. Everyone piles in. And Revenge taking down Neo in the backline, to me, was a critical part of this fight. So the initial play comes in, they're poking away at Afro, but Dig has pretty much everyone here, so they're ready to go pretty much immediately. The ultimate does land, the cleanse comes out from Raze. He's in retreat here. Destiny goes down very, very quick. Insanity having the culling over the side. Neo's low on health though, and Revenge just goes in. W flash executes him with the ultimate. Then Antrastana just jumps on Yasui's head. The explosive shot even finishes him off there with the help of Raze. And Insanity has played out this fight in such a manner that he's just kiting it out the whole time. Never really were able to get on top of him and finish off this Lucian, who was getting out an incredible amount of damage throughout the fight. He's got his Cyrildas done off of that. The Void Staff comes through as well. And look at the damage from the bot lane as well as the mid lane there from Immortals.
And hey, Fake God did a really good job in the fight. He was the only one at that same level. But if your top laner's the one doing the most damage, that means everybody else clearly was not getting it done, right? Going back to the culling that you were talking about, it was that initial culling from Insanity that took 2/3 of Yasui's health, made him fall back. Neo down to 20% HP. He's not in a good spot. Immortals now might be caught out. Raze, you are deader than a doornail, my friend. No way out of that one. Shut down by Neo.
Where's Neo's health?
Well, that one's doing a little bit of a disappearing act as well. Now, Revenge is going to get stunned up. However, he buffers over the wall. Yes, I know some people in chat are going to say Keck W, remake, bug, WTF. No. You buffer it, you have the 0.25 second cast time, he's going over the wall. It's sort of like a Tristana jump, right? You get stunned during the little scuttle animation, and then she jumps, it's all good to go.
He's charging up. It's kind of like Kamehameha, you know? Like, once it's going off, you can't stop it.
He's got the power of God and anime on his side.
He definitely does.
And he gets over the wall with it. Now we got 2 seconds, and we got ourselves an Infernal Drake here on the map. Raze is still dead for 4, and by the time he respawns, he will not have a teleport to get back out here. So that means we have a man advantage for Dignitas.
Ooh, Xerxes wants to try to go for the steal. They're trying to keep vision here. Insanity doesn't have culling, so I don't see how they can fight this. It's just trying to keep vision, and here we go.
All right, time for the 50-50. Over the wall they go, but the Drake is already down. Xerxes with the flash over the wall, going in for the Let's Bounce. Acadian's already dead. Make it 2 for 1. Yasui will be the next one to fall. Fake God with a 4-man clap, but they clap back. A double kill over to Revenge, and that should be Baron.
Man, as soon as Neo bailed out of that fight, oh my God, Insanity!
Oh, he's about to get called! Wait, what? Was he not able to get the last auto attack on Neo? What?
I'm not sure what happened there. I thought he would have been able to. Maybe he didn't have range, or maybe he didn't think he could actually finish, so he wanted to run, knowing that Afro was coming in. Either way, Immortal's going to be able to finish the Baron here very likely. Neo is coming over. He almost has his heal up. We'll see if they can do anything about it.
Yasui's alive in 5. He has a teleport. They may be able to force IMT off of this. It is a very slow Baron take. Yasui is coming in. Raze goes for the damage onto Neo. Takes him down to a quarter. Afro Mood jumps in on top of everybody. Looking to tank up, but it will not work. Baron's still at about 2,000. Xerxes got the smite, but he's got to use it early in order to stay alive. Okay, they get the Baron, but now can everybody get over the wall? Yes, it looks so. Raze continues trying to escape. He might be the one in trouble here. 50% HP, Scatter the Weak, knocks Yasui away. They do not quite have the cooldown on Realm Warp. It is almost ready, but not just there until now. And Immortals are too far away. So IMT, right there is the power of your early Drake stacking. They make Dig commit for it. They get the kills after, and they earn the Baron.
And that was a scrappy set of plays there. Immortals just barely able to take that one down, to be honest. I mean, Xerxes had to actually smite for health. He was going to die to Reyes over the wall, and then the Baron's about to finish him off. So he has the early smite. They still do finish it. And Insanity is so fed. Reyes really strong at this point as well. And Immortals are cruising now. And to me, the key thing here was Dignitas just didn't have the confidence to fight. And they are missing, a number of ultimates, and I think that's what made them nervous. But if you are actually tracking where Syndra is on the map, yes, they don't have vision on Syndra, but you know when Syndra respawned, you know about how long it takes Syndra to walk towards that dragon pit. So as soon as Neo bails out, the fight is just kind of forfeit, right? We never even saw Syndra involved in that whatsoever. So that was a 4v5 that you got slammed. Your carry bails out of the fight early. You lose so much, and that is a...
Here's the... Okay, let's see the pro view of how this, because it looked like he should have been able to...
Oh, he just had his camera in a bad spot.
Yeah, he had his camera too high. He didn't see the Tristana below him.
And man, his color settings are bizarre. I'm not sure if that's
that is the most saturated Summoner's Rift.
I'm not sure if he actually plays like that or if that's some sort of a weird thing going on with how the replay was, but that looked bizarre.
That was some Alice in Wonderland coloring, dude. That was crazy.
And that shows the value of recentering your camera when you're using these movement abilities, right? Because his camera was actually, kind of adjusted so he could only barely see the edge of Tristana. So when he goes over the wall, he didn't actually have Tristana on his screen, even though he should have if he had recentered it on his character.
Okay, let's see if Immortals can take this even further. Oh, Insanity's very further forward. The man's already dead. What in the world is he doing there? Now the follow-up's going to be more extreme. They'll kill off Xerxes, but they'll only get the passive. A little more work has got to be done, but it will be able to trade Afro move back. So make that one a 1-for-1.
Revenge is looking.
Ray's looking for a little bit more. Revenge is ready, goes for the stun over the wall onto Neo. They're throwing him up into the air, right back out. Execution over the wall. Revenge is going in. He jumps away. Let's see if he wants to keep trying to reset. Acadian tries to walk away. Yasui dodges out from the Scatter the Weak. Revenge, Destiny, and Raze. Three-man squad from Immortals versus a three-man squad of Dignitas. Immortals continuing to push forward. Destiny goes in for the knockup yet again, but will not be able to find it. Scatter the Weak will, but nobody else can follow up. Raze is almost out of mana here.
Warp.
Okay, Acadian's dropped in with a Realm Warp. Doesn't find the wind, becomes lightning. Revenge is here on the front line, but now he's got to be careful. He's right back into the back line, and Fake God's already down. Now Revenge is ready to reset. Yasui, goodbye. Afro Moo and Acadian now have to try to survive this one, but Revenge is still going, baby. He is ready to bring this one home for Immortals. A double kill over to the Lucian. More bodies piling up with Dignitas uniforms on them, and Immortals are going straight to the Nexus. Neo versus everybody on IMT. That is a pretty easy bet, my friends. See you, little Tristana. You didn't have a chance in the world. 26 minutes in, Immortals take down Dignitas and go up 1-0.
Finishing it off with a Bud Light ace there. Immortals, what a game from Insanity as well as Raze. They were crushing. I've got to give so much credit to how Raze was actually playing on that Syndra. There's one of the most common criticisms you see of bot laners in pro play is that they can't play mages at a high level. And this was such a good Syndra game. He was hitting so many scatters in these team fights and skirmishes. He was always playing far enough back that he was never actually getting caught out by the Leona or getting flanked and caught out by this set. He was consistently getting damage out. I thought navigated that game really, really well. And largely shut down in the 2v2 what most people are kind of looking at as Dignitas' big win condition. They're probably.
And I want to praise the other side of the map. I want to praise Revenge, because this guy on the Viego, him diving in, getting those resets, that critical fight that turned the game in the bottom side jungle river area, him going into the back line and getting done what needed to get done with those resets and those kills, huge. His performance in the last fight, being able to make it okay once his mid laner got caught out. I love seeing this guy on carry-type top laners that he can really play with confidence on and have a huge impact in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was his first playoff game, right? Like, that is his first game in a best of 5. Insanity as well.
That is a
Welcome,
damn good way to
welcome
start.
to the playoffs. He's
Immortals-
roasting him on Lucian.
Hey, they're looking good. There's that prep that Gilhoto was talking about. Hey, we spent 2 weeks studying how we're going to beat these guys. Well, hey, looks like the studying's working out here after one game, but we still got plenty more to play. Time for us to step away. But on the other side, the analyst desk is going to break down the Immortals win. Don't go anywhere. It all comes down to this. One last dragon fight to call the whole game. Boom, look at the damage on the Wombo combo. All 5 enemy players down. GG.
Yeah. I would never let you go. I love you, girl.
I said I know something that you don't know. Been through hell, how to come up a flow. I know something that you don't know. Run black man, better get that dough. I know something that you don't know. Came through stunning, yeah, I'm in my mode. I know something that you don't know. Run black man, better get that dough. I know something that you don't know. You don't know. I know something that you don't know. Every day we caught up in problems. I'ma need revolver to solve them. So I do the marathon with my hands tied while I'm naked, making big fire. I'm trying to die legend, Michael Jackson justified. Liberated young man, they won't keep my mouth wide. Every day caught up in problems. Middle finger out to team twins like that. I feel like a superhero. I got the chip on my shoulder cause I was a zero. Passing CDs out in the hallway. I caught the bus, I had no fuzzes when I used to say I know something that you don't know. Been through hell, how to come up a flow. I know something that you don't know. Run black man, better get that dough. I know something that you don't know. Came through stunning, yeah, I'm in my mode. I know something that you don't know. Run black man, better get that dough. I know something that you don't know. You don't know. I know something that you don't know. You don't know. I know something that you don't know. You don't know. I know something that you don't know. You don't know. Every day the devil is calling, saying any day you'll be falling. So I live every day like it's my last. Rare Earth don't care about me, so I be on that ass. Young black man, run real fast. Middle finger high, circle, do the money dance. Every day devil is calling. If I don't pick up, tell me will you let me in? I say I know something that you don't know. Been through hell, how to come up a flow. I know something that you don't know. Run black man, better get that dough. I know something that you don't know. Came through stunning, yeah, I'm in my mode. I know something that you don't know. Run black man, better get that dough. I know something that you don't know. You don't know. I know something that you don't know. You don't know. I know something that you don't know. You don't know. I know something that you don't know. You don't know.
Good for you, bro.
Welcome back to the LCS, everyone. We are one game deep into our playoff series today between Dignitas QNTMPAY and Immortals, but it was Immortals that came out on top. I do want to revisit the draft, though, because there is a clear, tactic from each side, and we actually got some coach insight, too, on how that would be executed.
Yeah, and before this game, I said I favored Dig draft, and I was wrong, right? What I wanted to see out of Dignitas was them playing around the fact that they got the strongest jungler in the game on their best player. And the early game was really boring, which is great if you're Immortals, but not so great if you're Dignitas and you want to abuse the jungle matchup. You want to abuse the fact that Zac is going to be the weaker jungler. But instead, they opted into, for instance, Rise into Lucian. You're not going to have the push there, right? And there's not many opportunities to disrupt Zac and prevent him from getting to level 9. So I would have preferred to see them draft more around lanes that can support the jungle.
Right, I thought, I want to go back to what Azale said. He's giving praise to Raze on his Syndra. I want to agree. At first, I saw him pick Syndra. I'm like, no, not again, dude. I've been watching a lot of pros play Ziggs and stuff bot lane. I'm like, these guys, they don't know how to play Syndra. They don't know how to play Ziggs. Stop picking it. Do something else. But his Syndra is actually really good in lane phase. A key thing that you need to do on Syndra is keep the ball between you, the enemy 80 carry, or whoever you're laning first. He did that a lot. Got a lot of good stuns, a lot of damage off of it. And he knew how to play a lane. So I really liked his Syndra play there.
It does feel like that flexibility that we have praised people like Insanity for throughout the season. They've been working so hard on the side of Immortals to bring that same level of flexibility to other lanes like the bot lane.
Yeah, I just feel like this team as a whole, when it comes to the draft, is insanely flexible. The fact that they had Lucian and Syndra being flexed so early on in the draft, it's something that they've done pretty consistently within the regular season, and they're just keeping up with it. Some of the criticisms that we've had is the fact that these drafts are really difficult to pull off at the highest level. You know, if you have multiple carries, specifically topside. This time they had the Viego topside, so that wasn't too difficult. But like in general, this is something that they've done with multiple flexes, and it's working. And that's the thing. When you're able to give yourself time during the regular season to really pound these drafts and like talk about it, then when you put it out in the playoffs, you're gonna be successful. So I love the fact that they've given themselves the time.
Immortals had some very effective moments throughout that game, but it's not like Dignitas wasn't off to a decent start. Hi, I know you talked about on this and that, some of that early game proactivity on the side of Dignitas, and they really tried to bring it through with this dive.
Right, they got the cheese level 1 play onto Revenge early game where they burned his flash. If he has flash here, there's no way they ever go for this dive, but the fact that he doesn't, they go for it, they get an early game lead, and it's a really smart play. However, they weren't able to transition this to anything. Even though Fake Guy gets the kill up here, you'll see 5-10 minutes later down the road, he's still down CS, he's still down pressure, and it amounted to nothing.
I still love the setup here, not only just the point that you made, but also that Zinja went for a level 3, which is like Red Raptors Gromp invaded and tried to challenge for red buff. If he would have gotten that, then that's like game ending for Zach there. And then they made a coordinated effort to push Zach off the dive to make it successful. So I thought that entire setup for the dive was really well done.
Yeah, and I like the point about pushing Zach off for the dive, because there's a reason why this is pretty much the only highlight from the early game for Dig. It's because Destiny was basically hand-holding with Xerxes the rest of the game, right? And it was basically like a 2v1 jungle matchup, which I really like to see from Immortals, because it's not like Dig didn't know that they have to make plays happen, but they weren't given many openings where they had a numerical advantage or vision. In fact, it was a lot of the time it was Destiny and Xerxes ganking mid or looking to pressure top. So
yeah,
really
as
well
you're
played.
saying, Dignitas was trying. Even as we take a look at some of those team fights, they were ones that were initiated by Aframu, for instance, but Immortals had a really great understanding of how to handle them.
Right, in these team fights, I think you gotta take a key look at the members of who they're focusing. They target the Rakan here, burn their entire kit onto Rakan, but guess who's still alive? Syndra's still alive. Guess who's still alive? Lucian. They're the main damage dealer, is not Rakan. So when you burn all your stuff on the support and trade your health for it, you can't fight anymore. You'll see that they killed Rakan, but Tristana has under a quarter HP. She's out of the fight. Yes, Rakan's gone, but the enemy AD carry and AP carry is still alive, so it's a lost fight based off of who they chose.
And what an insane dive there from Revenge. Like, Revenge had a really damn good play here where Dignitas was fully focusing on the front line. He just goes straight in there, kills Neo instantly, and gets the other assassination. So I think Revenge had a really good game. This one didn't turn into a steal, but still a great flash ultimate from Xerxes. His team fighting has been insane, and of course, just the point that you've mentioned about Rakan's play. I think at least dealing with Zach Rakan is very difficult. Yeah. And you need to make a coordinated effort to really keep Zach down at least, so you can consistently invade his camps. But I think the draft made it harder for him to do that.
Right, that was a 4v5 that happened there too. Like IMT opted that 4v5 fight, won that 4v5 fight single-handedly. It wasn't even close, like it was straight destruction. Hopefully moving forward, Dignitas does a few things to change up. I'm only saying that because I predicted them to win.
Yeah.
So I need them to like call back, you know?
Yeah, we do know that Dig have chosen to stay on blue side here. So, Hi, you are the one that advocated for them to take the victory. Is there anything in particular that you would like to see in this next game from them?
If your enemy team early picks Zach, please pick some things to stop it. You'll see that they second pick Zach. Not a single champion after that was able to counter his engage except for Set with his little grab thing. I think it's his E. But other than that, no one else could really stop it. And if that's all you have, Zach is really strong then. But you should be able to punish an early pick Zach and you should also take Syndra to punish that Zac.
Yeah. Additionally, I'd like to see them counter him in the early game where he's weak, right? Like, I think overall, Dignitas went through a little bit too defensive of a draft considering their strengths. They are, in my opinion, the better early game team, and I'm pretty sure statistically they are the better early game team. So instead of looking to ban, for instance, LeBlanc and Draven, which were their first 2 bans, look to just leave some early game stuff up and trust that you're going to have Acadian, who's one of the better junglers, and he's on Xin, who's one of the best junglers, and look to just force that early game as hard as you can.
Bit surprised they went back to blue. Just because the Xin Zhao is the highest priority pick when it comes to the, that side of the draft, and it very clearly didn't work out well for them. And not only that, they're not dealing with the flexes really well at all. So I'm interested to see what their adaptation would look like, because I think they should lean towards red side.
I'm interested too. We're going to have to see if Dignitas QNTMPAY can pull it all together and tie up the series in what is expected to be a very close one between these 2 teams. We're going to have game 2 for you right after this.
Not gonna lie, Jake from State Farm. That Daniel deal got me some sweet savings on my insurance.
Daniel, State Farm offers surprisingly great rates to everyone.
Sure you do. Tell you what, I'm not supposed to do this, but I'll let you try the chunk, honey.
Oh, I'm good. Here's the deal. Great rates, kinda our thing.
You wanna meet the queen?
I'm not dressed for that. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.